Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today the African kingdoms come face to bloody face with the mountain royals as Babaorum playing as the Berbers in green takes on Hera playing as the Armenians in red. Now all the players herd their herdables, explore their immediate surroundings and try to get their butts up, including their adorable goat butts up to Feudal Age ASAP. Why don't we take a look at the Civ matchup that we are going to be watching today. Now, the Berbers are a civilization that pushes its players into the four welcoming legs of cavalry. All Berber stable units are 15% cheaper in Castle, 20% cheaper in Imperial, which makes their Hussars super duper trash units. Now, their camels can also be upgraded to regenerate health, and their castles can be upgraded to work 25% faster, both of which strongly benefit their first unique unit, the Camel Archer. This is a mounted archer unit with great HP, great speed, and an attack bonus against cavalry archers, so not exactly something I'm expecting to see against the Armenians, who I believe do not have the heavy cav archer upgrade. Now, starting in Castle Age, the Berbers can also start training a second unique unit, the Genitor. Think of this as a mounted skirmisher, and one that comes with more HP but less range, and does cost a little bit of extra food because you gotta feed that horse that the skirmisher is on. Now, to help you get your economy up and running as fast as possible, Berber villagers in Dark Age do move 10% faster than normal. You'll see the movement speed there is 0.84 tiles per second, and once they hit Feudal, they move 10% faster at 0.88. Now, pivoting to the right side, where we've got Hera playing as the Armenians, primarily an infantry civilization, but one with a few cool units. To start with, all Armenian infantry come with extra line of sight and are available in Age earlier, which basically means that the Armenians have spearmen in the Dark Age, long swordsmen and pikemen in Feudal, and then two-handed swordsmen, champions, and halberdiers in Castle Age. Now, these same infantry units, except for their spearman line units, can be upgraded to get a big plus 30 boost to their HP, and their first unique unit, the Warrior Priest, blurs the line between Man of War and Man of the Cloth, being an infantry unit that can actually heal friendlies and also gather relics. Now, to support their first unique unit, as well as their infantry on the field of battle, the Armenians can field a second unique unit, the Composite Bowman, a unit that has been talked about, I would say, not quite as much as the Rata, but getting there, although it is much younger than the Rata. The Composite Bowman is a foot archer whose attack actually ignores the armor of all land-based units except for siege. Now, in order for the Armenians to get their military-industrial complex up and running as fast as possible, their first fortified church does come with a free relic. Their mule carts are 25% cheaper, and all mule cart technologies are 40% more effective, which means more productive Armenian miners and lumberjacks. Those are the two civilizations. These are two civs, by the way, that I believe peak in the late game. They are late bloomers, as one would call it. And before we go any further, if you watched any of my videos, you know what I'm about to do, highlighting these, and you know exactly why I always want to see if players have taken damage pulling the frickin' elephants and pulling the frickin' rhinos. It looks like Hera? I don't know if this one villager pulled both elephants, or maybe he relocated the villagers. No, there you go. There's the damaged villager. So Hera, trying to be a little sneaky with us casters already, relocates and repurposes the one villager to become a lumberjack. But I'm also always curious, since elephants and rhinos do move faster, zebras proving themselves to be just as stubborn as the deer on the map. Let's take a look at the bases as they both keep building their economy, depopulating the wildlife population for their meat. Let's take a look at the Armenian base, because this is about as open as you can get here. Wow, okay. Not going to be an easy base to wall off. We've got primary gold to the front, primary stone to the back. By the way, Babaorum is already at the 7-minute mark discovered where his opponent is. I don't think Hera's even left his base. Yeah, he's just now going on a jolly old adventure. Here is our red Armenian, but has he seen the gold? Oops, wrong unit. No, he hasn't seen the primary gold being super exposed, which is going to be problematic against a very lightning fast civilization like the Berbers. Oh, Babaorum, had he continued just a little bit south, would have seen where to apply the pressure. We'll see if he does. He sees the rug. He knows the town center is there, and Hera, with spearmen already being trained, is in the Dark Age, not going up to Feudal, doesn't have the 500 food just yet. So our Berber is going to reach it much, much quicker than our Armenian, who has additional gold to the back. is starting to wall off, and then additional stone and gold in the forward position. So Hera, look at this. An interesting wall off. Number one, I love that he's not using these individual trees. He learned his lesson in that game against the Viper about 6 months ago. But primary gold, extra gold and stone off campus. What does he have back here? Just stone and a little bit of extra gold. So we'll see how Hera decides to play this. A very, I want to say, interesting wall off by him. He's preemptively walling off his villager, by the way. Doesn't want the scout to get any kind of damage done because he doesn't have loom. Still 15 seconds away. Forest's not exactly in a very useful position, although it does have a nice forest to the back. I like that he walled this off. Okay. Plugging every hole in the leaky bucket is our Armenian, although it does still have a big gap here. We'll see what that's for. It kind of looks like it's a hill over there. It is for houses. Our Berber base, the exact opposite. Primary gold is nice and secured in the back. Primary stone, a little bit exposed in the middle of nowhere. Additional gold surrounding that primary stone, and then secondary stone annoyingly placed on a hill. Forests, as the game glitches out at its usual 10.5 minute mark, very annoyingly placed. There's one in the forward position. By the way, I'm going to zoom out because these bases are not that far from one another, although there is a lot of high ground. There is a lot of forests in the way, so we'll see. Usually that works out more to the benefit of the ranged units, in my opinion, having a lot of these choke points. That being said, the Armenians do have some pretty powerful features that can thrive in a choke point. I'm looking at you, 100 HP champion, if we're lucky enough to get there. But for now, no kills. Hera moves in. Hera gets zoned out with one spearman. When he plays Armenians, he's been known to put on some spearman pressure. He likes it in a little bit more than I would say than the militia push, just because the spearmen are quicker than the villagers. Even villagers that move as fast as Berber villagers, now that they're moving at 0.88 tiles, the spearman still outruns them. And the fact that they're available in Dark Age means that Hera has a lot of fun placing pressure. I remember he had a Twitch stream maybe a month or two after the Armenians showed up into the world of Age of Empires, and he was just going bonko. He was having the time of his life spamming spearmen in Dark Age and just crippling the economy of his opponent, who I believe hit Feudal, but once he hit Feudal, it was basically over. He didn't really get much done after that with 7 or 8 spearmen around his base. Speaking of 7 or 8 things, we've got army group to the south, we've got an attack to the north, we've got a chase that has been called off in front of the Armenian base. No kills just yet. A few villagers losing their HP. This scout is dangerously close to dying, and he's continuing to enter into a town center radius. We'll see what he decides to do. Will Babaorum save this scout? Will he kill a villager? Will Hera get some damage done as he now returns to the scene of the crime? But his scout is damaged as well. His spearmen are damaged as well. So we'll see. Babaorum, I'm assuming, has loom. Yeah, of course. And down goes the scout, in addition to 2 other units. We've got an archer here behind the forest that went down. We've got the scout that went down, and I may have missed the third one. It's definitely not here. I do apologize if I missed that third kill. You guys know I miss a kill here too. If I did miss it, it'll be in picture, or if I didn't catch it on the screen, you'll have seen it. I really am curious what the third unit that Hera killed was. In any event, he has secured his perimeter. Forest is safe. I'm surprised he didn't just pivot to this forest, because this is basically unassailable by even archers. Even archers with fletching will have a difficult time getting lumberjacks over here. And yeah, he's going for the backwards gold. So our Armenian seems like he's turtling up at the moment, which I don't mind, because like I said, these are 2 late game civilizations, so I do want to see the late game out of both of these civilizations, as I miss the killing of the scout. And it looks like Babaorum pulling an MBL, constructing a wall off primarily of houses. Hera, off the back of 2 extra villagers, half the army count of his opponent, is already heading up to Castle Age. Our Berber nowhere close. He invested a good amount of gold into getting these archers. He's going up to 10 archers. That's 450 gold. We'll see how well they do. Now, I'm wondering, now that I'm talking about the late stage and late bloomers and stuff like that, I'm wondering who I favor in this matchup in the super duper late game. I've got to say the Berbers. Oh, as a first civilian kill of the game goes to Babaorum, who again just has fletching. Although I say just has fletching, he's still in feudal, so obviously he just has fletching. No bodkin just yet. He is still 200 food away. I gotta say, I give it to, I mean, in a direct engage between the armies of these two civilizations, it's hard to compete with the Feriders upgrade, the upgrade that gives the Armenian infantry 30 more HP. Whether or not we're talking about warrior priest, another villager down, whether we're talking about champions, it's hard to compete with that upgrade. Lions on the high ground. Lions on the high ground. No, never mind. Is he on the high ground? Nope. He's in a bit of a pit here. Whereas I think zoning wise and forcing engagements that are favorable to you, go to the Berbers. One big weakness of the Armenians is their absolutely atrocious siege line. No siege engineers, which for any civilizations is already problematic, but they also don't have bombard cannons or siege onagers or siege rams, I don't think. Whereas the Berbers, they have bombard cannons and they have siege engineers. But even I'm getting way ahead of myself. I believe the Berbers also, by the way, missing siege onager and siege ram. But I'm getting way ahead of myself as the players continue expanding their settlements. It is now Babaorum who is ahead, villagers 3 to be specific, as Hera plops down a second town center. He's never one to let the constraints of a Dark Age or early Feudal Age wall-off hinder him. And here we go, double fisting, an axe and a dagger is our first warrior priest. As I zoom in on him, hoping he does something, but no, he's just standing there. And now these skirmishers got to get the hell out of here. With their minimum range, this one scout can wreak havoc. Ooh, there are a few red dots moving forward. Ooh, look at the HP. A combined total of 8 HP on these two spearmen. They are not going to survive. Okay, they might survive now. They might survive now if green doesn't notice. Ooh, I would have loved to see this one scout take on these two spearmen. Come on, do it. Because he can withstand 2 pokes. 3, no. 2, yes. Or is he just going to lead them into the welcoming death arrows of these ridiculous archer units who are now going to have bodkin and are now going to be crossbows? So our Berber is going foot archers, which is an interesting choice for a mounted civilization such as the Berbers. Okay, gets the 2 spearmen, puts them out of their misery. I mean, any combo, any unit in this game that has 4 HP, just put it out of its misery. As a very aggressive siege workshop gets placed here, he's seen the town center. And by the way, there's that first fortified church with the first free relic. Always changes the dynamic of the game when you have an Armenian fortified church, just because that one free relic means that there are now 6 relics up for grabs on the map if our Berber is strong enough to destroy that first fortified church. Warrior priest bites the dust en route to collect the relic, or at least to look for a relic. I believe the extra line of sight on the Armenian infantry also applies to the warrior priest. Wololo's going down left, right, and center. Hera pops out of Mangonel at the perfect time, or maybe not the perfect time, as a knight moves in here, but the knight gets converted. Mangonel down, crossbow down, monk down, scout down, knight still alive, knight down. Everyone is dying in this attempted penetration of the Berber base, of the Armenian base rather, as our Armenian creates a hastily constructed secondary wall off. And that's all she wrote. Now the crossbows, without any kind of cavalry support, have to get the hell out of here. The last thing you want to be doing is exploring, looking back at your base to allocate some villagers to do something, and then look back to realize that a Mangonel got 2 shots off and absolutely destroyed your entire army. Knight, coming to help out, does realize there is a juicier target, as these crossbows are enough to get the basic skirmishers. Does get the Mangonel, but not before it gets a shot off at Babaorum's Mangonel. Second Mangonel takes town center fire. Not the greatest movement out of either player at the moment, as a crossbow gets converted. Okay, so Hera's just finding opportunistic moments here to just stick a knife into the army of the Berbers, which is more than double the size of his army. By the way, the Berber, one extra town center with a villager who's having a bit of a stare down with a zebra, two extra. So 3 town centers for him. Our Armenian is stuck on his 2, but he's catching up in villager count. By the way, our Berber has killed 9 villagers so far. So without that, Hera's economy would be so much ahead of our Berber. But I expect our Berber economy to start out distancing the Armenian one very, very soon. Hera risking it for the biscuit. Thinks that those mangonels will go south. They do not. Instead, he goes after a villager. Villager moves at the last second, gets clipped. Now both of them are playing a game of prediction here. Who will get who? What will get what? No, you popped out at the wrong time. Maybe they're at the right time. These are not Celtic mangonels. They fire at a 6-second delay, not 4.5 second, which means if you get your mangonel out at the 4-second mark, 3-second mark, it will fire before your opponent's mangonel even has a chance. Knights get zoned out by their predator, the monk. But the monks get zoned out by their predator, the mangonel. Do Armenians get redemption, by the way? Yeah, the Armenians get everything, right? They're one of the civs that has a perfect, absolutely perfect monk line. That and their infantry line is basically pristine. Our Berber is back. Looks like a mutually assured destruction situation happening here as a castle. I'm surprised not placed closer to the gold, but where do those villagers think they were going for a second? They're fighting the knights. What did they think they were doing there for a second? An interesting set of clicks there for both players as now this knight goes after the mangonel. Should be able to get it. No, Babaorum suicides his own mangonel just to get the knight as his crossbow force now racks up 7 villager kills. He's killed 13 Armenian villagers. I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time saying Armenian and not Berber. And another one. And now he's attacking the monk. But he loses a crossbow to conversion, but the weakest crossbow. So Hera there just right-clicking whatever he can. Castle gets one, monk gets the other. Mangonel gets crossbow. Checkmate. Just kidding. We're only 29 minutes into the game. I'm hoping we have a long battle ahead of us. And finally, the players, the civilizations are entering into their nooks, into their comfortable niches of late stages of the game. Our Berber needs to get a house. Forget the stable. You are housed. Okay, 4 villagers get pulled off just to build a house. And these crossbows are still here. They've got 11, 12 kills now. 13. Make it 14. Why the hell not? Wow, he is getting a lot of good use out of these crossbows as Hera plops down his 4th town center. I'm assuming green has seen this town center. Yep. So our Berber is now down 1 town center, but he is ahead 10 villagers as I expected him to be. And more stables, bloodlines, husbandry for him. What are we pivoting into? Knights? Scouts? And finally, oh, look at that. Hera blocking the path of the crossbows with a market. Fantastic move there. They stop, they derp out, they try to shoot at the villager, and in comes the latest with a bow and arrow. And Lord of the Rings cosplay with these conical helmets and big flowing red velvety capes, and gun down the last remaining incursion into the back of the Armenian base. There you go. I didn't have trouble saying that again. Now Babaorum, though, is housed yet again. I mean, you've got 85 wood. Build a few more houses. He's moving forward. He's got 700 stone. Where is he going to place that castle? This is definitely not where you want to place a house at the moment, as the one hero composite bowman moves into attack position. A bunch of them are hunting. This is a pack of 7 bowmen. They do 6 damage, so 42 damage. Any unit with 42 HP or less is going to get one shot by these armor ignoring. Even a knight bites the dust. I mean, what the hell? This is just an absolute badass unit. We've seen it underperform lately, but it is still a pretty badass unit as the castle gets placed in perfect position, by the way, to evict the relics. Uh-oh, all of a sudden Hera who has 5 relics, the 6th one being right next to the Berber base, so not really up for grabs at the moment. He's going to be in a bit of trouble gold-wise if that relic, those 5 relics get dislodged, and that castle is, he's got to be in his bonnet for that, I was going to say monastery, that fortified church. Looks like these guys will finally get cleaned up. Looks like they took 1 scout with them, I want to say. That does not look like a knight. Actually, it looks like a light cavalry unit. And in one more shot, there it is. The relics get evicted. Both players firmly in castle. It will be our Armenian who heads up to Imperial first. Our Berber nowhere close. Another castle. 4 town centers, 2 castles to 3 town centers, 1 castle. Babaorum has to hit a bit of a timing here. He's got to push into Hera hard. Oh, he thought the he thought the villagers would do exactly what they're doing now, but they didn't. They just kept building the castle, and that attempted attack round missed, and now the Mangonel's in trouble. It's screwed between literally a rock and a hard place here. It falls, it crumbles into a pile of kindling. The Berber is, like I said, you do not want to face either of these civilizations in the super duper late game. He needs to, I want to say, conglomerate all of his various attack forces. He is ahead in army count. He is ahead just barely in villager count. These 2 relics can't be got by Hera anymore. I mean, maybe this one, if the warrior priest makes just 1 slight, you know, puts his toe, dips it into that green line of death. And our Berber is getting a lot of good scouting. Don't get me wrong. This is amazing movement out of the Berber, a very fluid civilization, and he's playing it quite well the way it's supposed to be played. But against the Armenians, you might want to just crush, as opposed to Mr. Yo style Hydra, multiple heads. Now let's see if Hera realizes that they do not ignore the armor of this battering ram as he moves forward. Yeah, he realizes it a little bit later and then retreats, or rather continues on his merry way with this band of 14. Okay, but maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe the name of the game for the Berber is to catch out as many villagers as possible here, and he's going to do exactly that. By the way, our villager has killed 26 Armenian villagers. Our Armenian has just killed 6. Did he even get... He got 2 villagers here. That is not a fantastic get there for these units who are now under serious attack. Their HP is terrible, and only 2 of them survived to tell the tale. Yikes. First to Imperial means first to trebuchets, as this mountain castle pumps out a treb. Another one being trained, I'm assuming, in the same location. It comes out immediately, unpacks, and immediately will start throwing its giant fiery balls. Although I shouldn't say fiery, they don't have no, he's got, never mind. We'll stick with fiery balls. Uh-oh, camel archer bites the dust, crossbow bites the dust. And this is the problem when you carve your army up into these small groups. A few units here, a few units there. A clump of composite bowmen is going to be enough to demolish them. 2 villagers try to stop the battering ram. I mean, our Berber, like I said, he's playing the Berbers like you gotta, like I think you have to play the Berbers, especially on an open map. Multiple fronts. Now, do I wish, if I was on Team Babaorum, that the multiple fronts included a bit more of a meteor front? And those villagers tried to run, but you can run, you can't hide from the composite bowmen. 28 kills, 9 of them villagers. So Hera's slowly starting to even up the civilian kill population. As his monk comes forward, he did want to take that relic, but it looks like our Berber has taken it. It is inside this monastery. As the villagers say, not in our hood, you are not getting our relic. And here we go. Wow, Hera does not want the Berber to Berber him. And so he's starting to wall off his base. Oh, maybe not. Where was she going? I thought she was going to build the wall off over here. And let's see what our Berber is doing, because now Hera is starting to accumulate not a death ball, but a death pebble of composite bowmen. They're not elite. They will be in... Oh, no, sorry, that's... Oh, exhaustion. Feriders. And he's going to men-at-arms. Are we going to see 100 HP champions against Berber Cavaliers? He certainly does look like it. Resources wise, I mean, look at Hera's resources. Having the uncontested relics has given him so far 2,600 extra gold. Berber army still missing a lot of crucial upgrades. So is the Armenian army. So we're going to have to brute strength for both sides. In come the cavalry, though. Go after the Treb. Go after the Treb. They do. But Hera pulls them into the firing range of the castle. I feel like Babaorum thought he could get that Treb with the skirmishers, but then had to retreat. Hera parading his units, peacocking in front of his opponent. Lion gets activated here next to these fortified walls, but the villager with loom should be good enough to take care of it. And I love this. I absolutely love this out of our Armenian. A civilization with mobility. If you take away that mobility, it has to rely on brute strength, and you're going to have elite composite bowmen, which I don't think improves their attack. I think it still stays at a 4+4. Yeah, I don't think it actually does anything to their attack, but they're going to be partnered up with champions. He's getting 16 in a minute, not a second, in a minute. They're going to be 100 HP champions, which even for a cavalier that has 140 HP is going to be very problematic. So the Berber, I feel like, is missing an opportunity to strike hard at the perfect opportunity. Now, I say perfect opportunity for us watching this with a God's Eye caster view. Everything is obvious, you know. It's easy to sound smart as a caster or a viewer or one of these hindsight 2020 people, or this guy should have done that. Looks like the Cavalier did kill that one villager, softened up by the Lion. But look at this HP on the champion. I mean, this... The Cavalier doesn't stand a chance. So it's very easy for me to say you should do this, should do that. I never really mean to sound like I'm telling the players what to do or this. Sometimes I react, as we all do, off the cuff. But I do think the Berber is missing an opportunity here, although he is going Hussars, and the north of Hera's base, for now at least, is open. So he can abuse the lack of mobility of the Armenians. Whereas the Berbers are very light on their feet, the Armenians are not. They are absolutely not. They are a bipedal army at best. And bipedal, the chaotic swinging of these giant comic little broadswords or whatever the hell champions have. Hera is at 200 population. Babaorum will be there soon once these 12 cavaliers complete. He's getting Blast Furnace, so he is one upgrade away from being fully upgraded. Hera's still missing Blast Furnace, just now getting plate mail armor. So the better upgrades here going to our Berber, but I don't know who has the better army here. We've seen time and time again skirmishers just absolutely... I don't know why I clicked the freaking tree, because I'm 41 years old and my clicking skills suck. We've seen time and time again the elite skirmishers struggle against the composite bowmen. It's just one of those things where you think it works, like how they struggle against conquistadors. It's just skirmishers are great unless something can beat them up quite handily, like the conquistador or even the composite bowman that'll take 8 HP off a unit that has 35. But let's see, where the hell do these Trebs think they're going? Are we going to have an engagement here? Skirmishers need to be brought forth immediately. We are going to have an engagement. Hera's Trebs on the right are shelling away at Babaorum's Trebs, who are shelling away at the castle. But the real battle here, the Hussars have all melted. Okay, the champions are doing a decent job. The Cavaliers are doing a decent job. Why are you going after the villagers to the bottom left? Skirmishers with the high ground are attacking multiple composite bowmen at once, but holy shit, with the never-ending stream of reinforcements, the Berber army just collapsed. We're gonna have to go back and look at exactly what happened there at the 49-minute mark of the game, and now champions doing what champions do, which is eating trash units for breakfast, Shooter McGavin style. And now all of a sudden we've got 76 army supplied at 26, and even though Babaorum has 134 villagers, looks like he's managed to sneak in a bit of an expansion here to the north. He is streaming Hussars. His gold income is shit. And Hussars are not going to last very long against the composite bowman champion combo here. Hera has placed... Okay, he wants to train a battering ram. He can't. because he's at 200 population with 13 units queued up. But now that his units are starting to die, it finally does get queued. Looks like we got another engagement here. The Cavaliers, why are you going after the champions? You have a juicy target. The composite bowmen, for a little while, were completely exposed. Does get the Trebs. Hera, Trebless in Seattle here. But what the hell do you do against these champions? They are now fully upgraded. So their attack is at a 17 compared to your Cavaliers' 16. And they've got high ground composite bowmen to back them up. Oh man, that's exactly what happens. That was just two absolute atrocious engagements there for our Berber, who thought he could muscle his way in. Had he done this 10 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, it's possible he could have won. I believe he probably would have won. But once those swordsmen became champions, Feriders we saw, Hera researched a while ago, but once those became champions and once the composite bowman numbers were there, because you have to realize the meat shield here is ridiculous for the Armenians. 100 HP meat shield. Meanwhile, behind this, the composite bowmen are just firing another volley, another volley, another volley, picking off the HP left, right, and center. That was about yeah. I feel like Babaorum had the right idea. Maybe needed to mix in some bombards, maybe needed to mix in some siege onagers. Look at his ending resources, though. He has the food, obviously transitioning into some kind of Hussar play with that kind of quantity of food. But Hussars are not going to last very long. I mean, when is it possible for us to do this, to compare the Hussar HP to a champion's HP, and the Hussar comes out worse? Maybe if it was a Mongol Hussar, it would be a little bit better. And even with the discount, even with 2,400 food, it's just not enough. How many stables does he have at the end of the game? Only 11. If he had 15, 16, maybe he could have started sending them to the back. But Hera, we've seen him do this with the Teutons. He loves to create these kinds of wall offs. I mean, look at this. This is just style points at this point. And he is completely safe. He's got the Maginot line of castles to the left. He's got him here to one castle here to the right, but there's two town centers, so the villagers can retreat into a whole bunch of infrastructure, including a fortified church. And ultimately, I like this little cheeky side expansion by the Berber, but if you're spamming Hussars against 100 HP Feriders Armenian champions, yeah, you're not going to go very far, especially not when they're backed up by composite bowmen. Now, do I think Babaorum should have resigned? Big question mark. Big question mark. He still has a good amount of resources. He still could have damaged Hera's economy significantly with those 20% off Hussars. I mean, instead of 80 food to pay, what is it, 64? Is a huge discount. He's still got plenty of stone. He's got 2 castles up. He still has a bit of gold. No, never mind. Does not have a gold anymore. Look at this. Look at this situation. 3-on-1. Overkill much? Look at this guy. He's just antsy in the pants. He wants to kill this villager. He was promised loot, and he wants it bad. Does have a little bit of gold left here. Yeah, but resources are starting to dry up for our Berber, who again just took 2 really, really bad engagements. And had he taken the engagement here, let's go back actually and see, where was it at the 49-minute mark? I want to see exactly what happened here, because I feel like that should have been a little bit more even than it was. But okay, let's take out the Trebs. So the Berber army has 1,700 more HP, 29 Cavaliers, 10 Hussars. By the way, everything is fully upgraded for the Berber. Our Armenians still missing Blast Furnace. So upgrades, again, as I think I mentioned at the time, going to our Berber. But let's see what ultimately ends up happening here as the armies move and dance. Every volley of these units just kills one unit, and the skirmishers are here behind the Trebs stuck. A few of them are firing. Hera lures the army, tries to lure it into the castle fire. Looks like Babaorum not falling for it. So a fantastic move by him, not falling for it. He does a little bit here. For some reason, Hera peels off half of his champions to go to the rear of his army, which gives Babaorum time to close. So at this point, things look pretty bad for Hera. Let's see what's going on here. Let's get rid of the villagers and the Trebs. Now you've got 16 Cavaliers. Oh, actually, it's not that bad for Hera. His HP difference is now only 140. So even though it looks real bad, these, oh, let's take a look. No, the Hussars, the Cavaliers' HP looks pretty damn good. But so does the Champion's HP. Right now, it looks kind of even to me. Skirmisher's getting into position. I love that he's staying on the high ground, not moving them any closer. You guys know my pet peeves is when ranged units are brought in a little bit too close. I love that they're firing 2 volleys at 2 separate units, killing as many of these composite bowmen as they can, but ultimately just the reinforcing the defender's advantage here for Hera and this super ridiculous tanky unit. The Feridur's champion just edge out the Berber army, and by the way, just barely. Even though these 21 composite bowmen are still alive, it looked a lot closer than it was. And then towards the end, Hera just swept it. This is a lot of dead green checkerboards on the battlefield. And then the last battle that he took also kind of looked like it was going in our Berbers' favor, because Hera peeled off a huge chunk of his champions to the back, which left his army completely exposed. He's got 10 champions here, but that's just the freaking power of Feridur's. 100 HP on a champion. Okay, he's retreating with these ones as well. Oh, the Cavaliers go after the Trebs. They go after the Trebs. Why? Your castle's on the high ground. It's got 4,000 HP. Forget the Trebs. Forget them for now. And then he pulls off 8 of his Cavaliers to go south. These ones are leading the champions on a chase. And now all of a sudden, Hera's army conglomates, congregates, what do you want to say, clumps into one big ball here in the front. And that's all she wrote for these Cavaliers. I mean, this is just this is just crazy. And now the composite bowmen join in, and again, every single time they fire, they just make the champion's job so much easier. They just take away so much HP. This is 160 HP reduced per volley, and their attack speed is 2. So slower than your usual archer, but still deadly nonetheless. Let's take a look at the resources, because again, Babaorum did end the game with 2,400. I'm not sure why it says 400 now, but we saw he had about 2,400. So he was obviously planning some kind of Hussar run by. Now he would have probably been better served not fighting this small reinforcing group out of Hera. Probably should have just ignored them, right? And just sent the Hussars here or somewhere into the back of the base. Let your slower opponent chase you if you've got the faster army. Don't engage into the stronger unit, especially not when it's backed up by this composite bowman. But he does exactly that. Tower, who cares about the tower? What's a tower? Oh, it's a bombard tower. Yeah, even still, what's up? If it can even hit, what's a bombard tower going to do? But it looks like he did a good job here killing. Let's take a look at the kill count. No, not bad. Not dissimilar, actually. 180 kills for the Berber, 212 for the Armenian. And a Berber killed 3 times almost as many villagers as his opponent. 63 dead Armenian villagers, 22 dead Berber. But at the end of the day, champions are cheap, Cavaliers are not. And so Hera could afford to lose villagers here and there, especially once he secured his western perimeter, once he secured his northeastern perimeter. And the front is open, but what the hell are you going to do with this front? I guess you can go along here. Can't really go south, not into the face of 3 castles. And our Berber, again, just pulling his army apart at the worst time possible. And again, the fights looked a lot closer than they were. 90 Cavaliers, 81 composite bowmen, PKPM furiously clicking at the beginning of the game, queuing villagers, gathering resources. Hera right towards the end of the game, right before that big battle occurred. Economy not too dissimilar either. Hera's advantage is basically the relic gold. Without this relic gold, the economies would basically be identical almost. A little bit more wood for him, a little bit more food for Babaorum, and then a lot more gold for our Armenian and a little bit more stone. So a lot closer, even with 63 dead villagers to the 22 dead villagers or whatever it was. 63 to 22. Look at that. My memory does work. Don't do drugs, kids. A lot of the resources in favor of our Armenian, but again, if you remove the relics, resources mined is basically the same. 6 conversions. I thought that would have been a little bit higher. It seemed a little bit higher in the beginning. Out of 221 is less than 3%. And yeah, again, I think Hera was just given a little bit too much time. Babaorum, if he took this engage here, a few minutes earlier with his upgrade advantage and just the lack of champions, I think he could have taken this engagement and then pulled back, maybe added in a few more of those powerful siege units. I don't think I see a single siege workshop here for him, by the way. No, I don't. I don't see a single siege workshop for our Berber, which is problematic. Again, we've seen time and time again, us skirmishers just struggle against the composite bowmen, even though on paper they should do quite well, just like they do against conquistadors. You need numbers, and he just didn't outnumber the composite bowman well enough. Just because every time the composite bowman hits you as the skirmisher, 8 HP off of 35 is a ridiculous, what is that, 5 volleys needed just to kill. So 20 of them kill 4 skirmishers at once, which is redonkulous. And ultimately, Hera hits the timing that he wanted, gets the upgrades that he needed, especially, forget the composite bowman softening up these cavaliers, the freaking Feriders upgrade with the champion at 100 HP. Even though he was economically destroyed by our Berber, he did manage to build the cheaper army. On the whole, I mean, hussars are pretty cheap, skirmishers are pretty cheap, cavaliers are not. Composite bowmen are not that expensive either. I think they're basically as much as a crossbow with a little bit more wood. So Hera here with that gold advantage, just training this impeccable army, softening up the cavaliers with the composite bowmen, allowing the champions to just chew through them like a steak. And with this army composition, he just plows through 2 Berber armies, even though it did look like it should have been a bit more closer than it was. Takes the W, but GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.